Okay, we're now recording. You're good to go.
Okay, thanks, Rebecca. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening for our second public meeting on our US 60 improvement project that will go from McCracken County into Ballard County. I believe it was June of 2019 when we last met with hopefully some of you, or all of you for that matter. Obviously, a lot has changed in the world since then, and we're forced to meet like this for now, but nonetheless, we're glad you're here with us tonight. We know that our design team, led by Rebecca and the folks at QK4 and AEI, have a good presentation to show you tonight. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Rebecca. Again, on behalf of KYTC District 1, thank you for joining us tonight, and hope it's a very beneficial meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. As you can see on the screen, we're here to talk about the US 60 project near Keble and Ballard and McCracken counties. There's a project website, which hopefully everybody who's managed to join our call has found the website and had a chance to explore. We're going to be taking a look at it throughout the session tonight. A quick review of our agenda you can see on the screen here. We're going to have the project team kind of give you an update on the alternatives considered and where we are in the process to date, followed by some public statements for individuals who signed up ahead of time. And then following those statements, we're going to open it up for general comments, Q&A discussion, just to kind of help keep everything organized in this new virtual world where we live. We do ask that you raise your hand or use the chat panel for that Q&A session coming up. Depending on which version of Zoom you're running, on which version of a tablet or PC or phone, there's a couple of different ways to get to those. We've tried to break them down on the slides you can see now. These left-hand panels are how to get to the raise hand features, which is probably either along the bar at the bottom of your screen or hidden under the little three dots that say more. So when we get to the Q&A session, if you'd like to unmute and talk, we just ask that you raise your hand so we can kind of keep coordinated on the flow. And then if you don't want to talk out loud, but still have a question or a comment you want to share, there's a chat panel built into the Zoom as well. That's also probably hidden at the bottom of your screen or under those little three dots that say more with them. So feel free to use those throughout the time. We'll have people moderating that and trying to respond to those as they crop up once we get to that Q&A session again. And with that, I'm going to jump over to the story map. I believe everybody got a link to this either through a newspaper ad or through a direct mailing postcard or some other social media outlet. So hopefully everybody has a chance to check this out. The website's online, so you're welcome to follow along with us or explore at your own pace. Just a quick overview of it. We've got a bar through here that lets you jump from section to section to kind of navigate through it. And a lot of them have different features built in where you can interact with maps or scroll right to left to see some more content, all that kind of stuff. The story map is just a high-level summary of the project information to date. And I'm going to turn it over to Chris to give us an update on the project history.
Thanks, Rebecca. I know some of you have been around this project and have known of this project for a long time. KYTC first authorized funds for this project way back in the year 2000 and started work on a planning study in 2001. We then started doing design work in 2003 and held the first public meeting back in 2006. And I know from looking at the names, I recognize several names that I talked to at that public meeting 15 years ago. At that time, a preferred alternate was designated, but the 2008 six-year highway plan removed the priority state funding for the project. So the project kind of remained on the shelf with not a lot of work being done until 2018, when the highway plan designated federal funds for the project. In order to access these federal funds, the Transportation Cabinet had to complete an environmental assessment for the project and relook at some of the project alternatives. So that is what led to us having the public meeting back in 2019 that I'm sure a lot of you went to. That was done to reacquaint the public with the project alternatives and let you know that we had kind of restarted the project. That environmental assessment was completed in early 2020. And this public hearing will give you the opportunity to comment on that environmental assessment as well as on the project alternatives. As Rebecca mentioned, we're going to be going through kind of a high level look at both of the alternatives and the environmental issues. But you can also do kind of a deeper dive into this website on your own pace if you'd like to. If you look at our 6-year highway plan, the project is split into the corridor split into 3 separate projects. So you'll see references on here to item number 1-115, 1-115.1, and 1-118. Those are the 3 numbers designated in the 6-year plan for this corridor. For this meeting, all of that is combined into one project corridor with one environmental assessment. So you may see those item numbers, but we're just going to be talking about the project overall. If you look in our 6-year plan document, you'll see it split into those 3 projects. So now I'm going to turn it back over to you, Rebecca, to discuss the purpose and need of the project.
All right. As I'm sure everyone's aware at this point, the project itself, all 3 sections combined, stretches from Humphrey Creek, just outside La Center, to the existing 4-lane section just past the county line in McCracken County. The project purpose and need is to improve mobility and safety for the corridor. US 60 is a key regional highway link, and it leads to the only Ohio River Bridge for an 80-mile stretch. Narrow lanes, limited passing opportunities, and substandard curves create challenges, particularly for trucks. So the EA that Chris was mentioning looked at 4 total alternatives, the no-build alternative, plus the 3 build options you can see on the map on the screen. We've called them 1, 2, and 3 to keep it simple. This link above the map here to the EA takes you to the longer document that has a more detailed look at the alternatives, at why they were developed, the impacts on the environment, costs, and all that kind of goodies. Scrolling back down through the story map itself, you can see a detailed description of each of the 3 detailed study alternatives addressed in the EA, with costs ranging from about $62 to about $84 million for a 4-lane facility through the area. These red links, as you're looking through it, open up individual maps for different sections that are the same maps we showed at the 2019 public meeting, but it gives you a little more detailed view of the alternatives than what we've shown above. Definitely, if it comes to the Q&A portion, we can crack those open and take a closer look if there are questions, but feel free to click on them and explore at your own leisure. Here in just a minute, Keith's going to look at the alternative 1 in a little more detail, since that's the one we've identified as preferred. And with that, I'll turn it over to Keith to talk us through it.
Thank you, Rebecca. Some of you may remember from the public meeting in June of 2019 that the project has 5 goals. They are to improve safety, to improve horizontal and vertical curves, improve traffic flow from La Center through Cable on US 60, to support economic development, and to improve US 60's east-west connectivity. This corridor for the project actually is made up of 3 segments, as Rebecca previously mentioned. Segment A begins just east of Humphrey Creek Bridge to the first existing curve about 0.4 miles west of Hester Sullivan Lane. Segment B begins 0.4 miles west of Hester Sullivan Lane to Bethel Church Road. Segment C begins at Bethel Church Road and goes to the existing 4-lane near Lester Harris Road. 4 alternatives were presented at the previous public meeting, with the selected preferred alternative being alternative 1, a new roadway south of the existing road. The public survey responses from the June 2019 public meeting revealed that 72 to 84% of the responses of the over 300 responses received preferred alternative 1. Alternative 1 avoids or minimizes impacts to major issues along US 60, such as the 4 high-pressure gas lines, the pump station, the Dower facility, and eliminates the US 60 traffic from traveling through the 2 sharp curves about midways through the project. There are no impacts to public parks, wild refuges, or historic properties protected by Section 4F. Maintenance of traffic during the construction is less complex, as there will be only minimal impacts to the existing traffic on the existing roadways when the connections on each end and at the approach roads in between are connected to the existing road. Not following the existing road or going through Crable results in fewer impacts to homes, businesses, and utilities, allowing alternative one to have a lower cost compared to the other alternatives. Alternative one is also the only alternative that satisfies all 5 goals. Alternative one will be new construction through mostly farmland, beginning east of Humphrey Creek Bridge and ends at the existing 4-lane near Lester Harris Road. It will be a rural design, meaning that it will have shoulders. There is both a 2-lane initial option and a 4-lane ultimate option for the first 2 sections, while the 3rd section will extend the current 4-lane. Initial means that the first 2 segments will be constructed as a 2-lane roadway on right-of-way wide enough for a 4-lane facility. The ultimate design means that in the future, as funds and needs determine it necessary, the first 2 sections will then be constructed to add the additional 2 lanes, providing a 4-lane facility. The initial construction will only be for the 2-lane design from the beginning east of Humphrey Creek Bridge to a point 600 feet west of County Line Road. At this point, the roadway will be constructed as a 4-lane at the beginning of what is an R-cut left turn lane. This extends to the 4-lane near Lester Harris Roadway. The template for the ultimate design roadway is a rural 4-lane highway consisting of 4 11-foot lanes, a 28-foot median with an 8-foot outside shoulder and a 6-foot inside shoulder. The template for the initial rural design is a 2-lane roadway with 11 feet lanes and 8 feet shoulders. The road will have partial control access, meaning that entrances will be spaced at about 1,200 feet apart from each other. However, no partials are going to be landlocked. There will be 7 connections from the new US 60 to the existing US 60. The first one is Kentucky 310 Turner Landing Road. It will be slightly realigned at the intersection of the existing US 60 and then extend south, intersecting the new US 60. There is a connector at the end of section 1A that is about 1,500 feet east of Stafford Road to allow you to go west on existing US 60. There is a connector at the beginning of section B about 0.4 miles west of Hester Sullivan Lane, allowing you to go east on US 60 toward Cable. Kentucky 473 into Cable will be relocated parallel to the Veterans Industrial Park with turn lanes on each end. The County Line Road will have an R-cut left turn design. The R-cut means that while left turns will be allowed from the US 60 onto County Line Road, left turns from County Line Road will not be allowed. Instead, motorists wanting to go left will first turn right onto US 60, merge into the fast lane, and then make a U-turn at an opening about 600 feet from the intersection. Then proceed in the east or west direction, whichever preferred. Bethel Church Road will be extended south to the new US 60, and Wren Road will be extended south to the new US 60. Right-of-way will include approximately 79 parcels between all 3 sections. Rebecca, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Keith. Keep exploring down the story map, and as I mentioned, everyone's welcome to jump in and scroll around and view the maps more closely. The buttons at the bottom give you options to change the base map or turn on the legends to try and help decode what some of the colors and lines and whatnot mean. So feel free to scope that out at your leisure, even though we just hit it at a high level of detail today. This next section talks about the environment, the assessments that we did, with another link to open up that EA, the report that documents the findings. These maps kind of act as a visual summary of the environmental features that we've identified to date, and let you scroll right and left to check those out in a little more detail. We've certainly got some of the big stuff highlighted, whether it's the Eagles Rest Plantation or the Dollar TLI facility coming up. There's a ton of bat habitat and wetlands and streams and all that good stuff. And those are, as I mentioned, captured in the EA as well. So the only other thing we wanted to point out before opening it up for the public statements is that we are still seeking your comments. We'd love to get your thoughts today on this call, or there's a couple of mechanisms built in to comment on the website. You can click on this red Enter Your Comments button, or we've got a phone number and email that you're welcome to reach out to over the next couple of weeks, and just let us know what you think, if you have comments, questions, any of that good stuff. We're also offering us a couple of follow-up sessions to this meeting. If there's one-on-one discussions you want to have in a live interactive session, you can call the phone number on the screen or shoot us an email. We'll try and get those scheduled and set up here in the next couple of weeks. We thank you for your patience again with all the COVID stuff going on. This one's been kind of a fun surprise leading up to it. So with that, we had one individual sign up to make public comments as public statement. Mr. Summers, I'm going to ask that you would get ready to unmute yourself, and we ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, but you're welcome to take it away when you're ready. And then we'll wrap this up with some Q&A and comments from everybody else. Mr. Summers?
Hey, Rebecca, I looked through the participant list and I did not see his name on there, so I'm not sure what's happened.
Yeah, but if he was logged in with somebody else or.
Yeah, I know when I spoke to him on the phone, he said he wanted to speak. So maybe we could just open it up to other questions. I saw a question just come up in the chat. Maybe we can answer that and then open it up to questions from other people while we wait to see if he's going to be able to log on. If not, I can reach out to him and tell him that we could either schedule an in-person session with him, or he could submit his comment through the website or something.
Very good. Well, I'm going to ask Lindsay, if you don't mind, to unmute and kind of lead our, or actually I've got it right here, never mind. The chat panel asks, when will a decision be made on which route, and when is the project to start? So the EA kind of documents that process, and Chris, feel free to jump in when this doesn't cover it. The EA documents that alternative one, that southern alternative that we saw in the map in red, is the preferred. As Keith mentioned, it has fewer impacts and lower costs and a lot of that kind of stuff that he had just called out. We've got design work ongoing, and hopefully we'll be starting right away as soon as we get through this process on the environmental side.
Yeah, as far as when the project would start, I think that I think this information is on here somewhere, but our 6-year highway plan currently has funds in the current biennium, which means funds that we can access and use and spend right now for the property acquisition and the utility relocations that are needed for the project. So our plan is that once we get through this, this public hearing, this public comment period, schedule those in-person meetings, we'll be able to finalize the federal environmental documents. And then when we do that, we'll be able to get the federal funds allocated. We'll be able to access the federal funds to purchase the property, do the utility relocations. We can't access those funds to buy property until we finish this environmental step, and doing this hearing as part of that process. So if we keep moving on the schedule that we're on, we're hoping that those property acquisition funds will be authorized in this summer, the summer of 2021, and that later in the summer, early in the fall, we'll actually be out starting to purchase the right of way, or at least starting to make appraisals on people's property. The construction, that right of way acquisition and utility relocation phase will take a year or two. The construction is not funded until 2023 in the current highway plan. So, if you're figuring that we're going to start the property acquisition phase here in 2021, That's going to take 1.5 to 2 years, and then we would be kind of set up on schedule to start construction in 2023.
All right, we had another question in the chat panel that says, what is the engineering rationale for the R-cut? Keith, do you want to field that one? Or?
Yes, I can answer that one. And hi, Jim. The thing that with the R-cuts helps, it's been proven and that it helps to take away a lot of the conflicts that occurs in a traditional intersection. And by taking away the driver that's making that traditional left turn, in this case would be off of County Line Road, they're having to look at both the east and west traffic. This allows them to be able to focus on one direction at a time. And from that standpoint, it has been proven through studies to be a safer type of an intersection in a busy type of intersection.
Yep. For those of you that are on this call that are from the area, we have a lot of issues on these 4-lane roads with people trying to cross and make lefts onto the 4-lane highways that cause us to, a lot of accident problems, cause us to have to put up signals, out in this US 60 area where the 4-lane is now we have a signal at Hobbs Road. We have a signal at the road to Heath High School. We have accident issues at Kelly Drive and other places. If you travel south on US 45 to Mayfield, a good example is the intersection at 408 where Fristo's gas station is on 45. We had a continuous accident problem from people trying to get on and off the 4-lane. We put a traffic signal there. We continue to have an accident problem there. And we've discovered through some research from places across the state that doing this R-cut, sometimes called a J-turn, really has a significant reduction in the number of accidents for a high-speed facility such as this. We're actually going to be constructing R-cuts on US 45 at Fristo's and at a CCA school this year. We also have 2 R-cuts that we're going to be installing on US 60 at Kelly Drive, and Kyle is the other one at Kentucky 996.
Yes, Mayfield Metropolis.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Metropolis Lake. Yeah,
Metropolis Lake. We're going to be constructing those 2 this year also with some safety money because they've been shown to greatly reduce the number of accidents by reducing the conflicts that people have turning. And so we think that's by doing it initially, we will alleviate those safety concerns right away. What we don't want to happen is open the new 4-lane, there be an accident problem, and then people come back to us and say, hey, can you build a signal here? Can you do this? Can you do that? By building that R-cut right away, it kind of solves the safety problem right off the bat. I see somebody, would you please explain the R-cut traffic flow again? So Keith, do we have something we can zoom in on that on maybe under the plans?
Yeah, I think we go to the alternative 1.
Rebecca, if you could go to the one that says alternative 1 east.
There she is. Yep. There we go. All right.
While she's zooming in, I saw somebody mention the speed limit. The speed limit will be 55 miles an hour. The other 4 lanes that we have in the area, like US 641 and US 45 and Kentucky 6880, those were put a speed limit at 65 miles an hour. Kyle, I believe that was a designation that was done by the Kentucky General Assembly that kind of superseded the highway department's rules and policies.
that is correct.
So we would plan on signing this as a 55-mile-an-hour roadway in accordance with our guidelines. And if the General Assembly decides they want to do something different with this one, then there's not really anything we can do to control that. Rebecca, can you scroll a little bit to the east to kind of zoom in there at the R cut just a little bit more? So for traffic that is coming from the north on County Line Road on 2532, they will only be able to make a right turn. So you will make a right turn, and then then you'll make a right turn, and then you will get in a left turn lane that'll be in the median to allow you to do a U-turn loop to then get in the lane to go the other direction. This allows you to kind of make that move in 2 steps. We found that a big accident problem at sites such as this is vehicles trying to go across traffic and make the left with the high-speed traffic coming at them from both directions. They have a difficult time gauging the gap that they need to make that movement to either make the left or go all the way straight across. And that's what leads to a lot of the accident problems. So in this step, you'll be able to, you look to the left to see who's coming, make a right, get in that left lane, and then you can make one more move. You look to the right and then get back into traffic and either keep going straight to go to the west or make a right turn to go, continue north on County Line Road.
Chris might also point out the loons for those that might be interested in traffic.
If you see at those U-turn places, the pavement is bulbed out. Where you make the U-turn, it'll be bulbed out into the shoulder so that especially truck traffic will have an extra turning radius to make that turn and be able to navigate through this.
So we also got a question saying, will there be a cul-de-sac on Gage Road?
Yes. So if you'll go back to Rebecca, go back to Gage Road. If for those of you that remember at the last public meeting, we actually showed improving Gage Road as to be a kind of a main connector between the new road and the old road. And, we heard a lot of comments from the public about the disruptions that would have and the impacts that would have to the houses along there. And the more we looked at the design, in order to improve Gage Road to a wider 2-lane road or a 3-lane road that would really be able to serve the traffic between the new road and the old road, it was really going to kind of do some pretty severe damage to all the homes along there. It was going to have new right-of-way, property lines, feet from people's front doors, and was really going to be a bad situation. So because of that, we decided to relocate Gage Road and build a new connector to the east of where Gage Road is now. You can see that on the screen. That's kind of on the western boundary of the Kevil Industrial Park area. And by making that the new connector, there will be we want to force people to use that to get between the new road and the old road. So to do that, on the south end of Gage Road, there will be a cul-de-sac and won't be access to the new road. And that will turn Gage Road between the two roads into strictly a residential area, and will force all of the traffic going into Kevil to use the new connector. So we think that kind of serves both purposes of preserving the homes and farms that are along Gage Road and building a new connector that can still serve that access between the new road and the old road.
Keith, you've got your hand up if you want to make a statement.
I just wanted to share that anyone who's interested in the operation of the R-Cut, we actually have a video up as part of our safety project on US 45. If you want to write down this website, it's us45safety.org, us45safety.org. There is a detailed video there that will explain how an arc cut operates and help you become familiar with how they look and what they do.
I see the next question, Rebecca says, will the 4-lane begin before or after the arc cut? If you're leaving west from Paducah, where the 4-lane ends now, the road will continue to be 4-lane through the arc cut and past County Line Road. West past County Line Road is where we may potentially narrow down to 2 lanes, depending on what the costs and the budget look like.
The next question says, will we be able to access the new road off Pine Lane?
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out where Pine Lane is.
It's back up by Gage Road, I believe, Chris.
Oh. So that's the one that ties in to Gage.
There is the intersection connection there. You can see that will be coming back.
Oh, okay. I see it.
Yeah.
So yes, Pine Lane will be connected to the new road. And somebody else had a question about which end we'll begin on. We will begin on the Paducah end where the 4-lane ends and move west as with construction.
I think that's all the chat questions we've had entered so far. So remember, if you want to raise your hand and ask out loud, or you can type stuff in. Here we go. Traveling westbound at the arc cut, will traffic turn directly onto County Road?
Traffic on US 60 will be able to make a direct left onto County Line Road, either northbound or southbound, depending on which direction you're coming from. It's just the traffic on 2532 will not be able to make a left directly onto US 60, but the traffic on US 60 will be able to make a left.
Will there be an arc cut at Highway 995?
No, we do not currently have one designed there. I believe that will be is being designed as a traditional intersection.
And Chris, let me add in the clarification as to why. So typically you find that the arc cuts are at a particular segment where you have a cross street that goes both. In this case, since our new route is east-west, you have a cross street that has a connection both from the north and the south. In this case, Rice Springs Road only has a connection from the north down to the new alignment. It does not cross the road, so therefore there is not the need for the other leg.
Anybody else? Jimmy, are you trying to signal you got a question? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay, now,
There you go.
am I unmuted?
You're good.
Hey, thank you for taking my question. My property is just west of Gage Road, and it shows the road coming through my property there, and I just acquired some more property on the other side that it goes through. I'm just wondering, I know that at this point would be a 2-lane unless the funds are available to make it a 4-lane, but what is the right of way? What is the total width of the right of way that you would be acquiring?
Keith, do you have that? I would say a good guesstimate would be somewhere in the 200-foot range.
Okay.
Would you think that's accurate for that location, Keith?
Yes, I think it would be. we're still setting those actual boundaries for that. The right of way, as I said earlier, it is being purchased to allow for the 4-lane ultimate design.
Right.
So, from that standpoint, you'll be having your
That
4
can
level
vary.
lanes and your 40-foot median.
And that can vary based on, how high we're filling or how low we're cutting. We're probably not cutting much here, but if we're having to fill up 20 feet to build the new road, then those slopes will go out further if it's closer to the existing ground, which, this area is pretty flat. So we're probably going to be fairly close to those existing ground lines. So there shouldn't be any huge cuts or fills. So, that's stuff that we're still in the design process now to work out those exact details, but that somewhere in the 200-foot range.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
That blue area that you see on the map is the preliminary right of way, which, as Chris mentioned, may continue to evolve as we get a little more engineering done. But that's kind of our estimate for now.
The web address for the new maps that QK4 put that on there. For all of you, the same website that you went to register for this meeting is the same website we're going through that has all this information. If you do look at this later on after this meeting and have further questions as you dive into different drawings that are on there or whatever, please feel free to reach out to us and we can try to answer those as well as we can. Ricky Turner says, with the west end of the new road beginning at Humphrey Creek, do you anticipate any land acquisition west of Humphrey Creek? Keith, I believe the alignment ends at the bridge to Humphrey Creek. We would be leaving that existing bridge in place and not doing anything west of Humphrey Creek, correct?
Yes, that's correct. We're anticipating probably tying the approach down with the asphalt surface connecting to the east end of the bridge.
And then the next question is Amy Lynn Drive.
Oh, it's not where I thought it was. Is this Amy?
Amy
Go
Lynn.
back to the west,
Yeah.
Rebecca. Back. I'm sorry. Yeah, back to the west. Yes.
It's just west
Just west of 2532.
Yeah, it's the next
Okay,
connection.
Right there.
thanks.
Is Amy Lynn is the one with the Sarah Sapp trailer court, correct? Yes, and that will be there will be a connection there that will be tied in. It'll have a connection to the road to the north and the south. I think the question was what could be done to prevent that from being a cut through. We would hope that just due to the size of the road, most people are going to prefer to use County Line Road because we'll be doing improvements on County Line Road, widening it between the new road and the old road. And Amy Lynn is pretty narrow and not something that needs to have a lot of traffic. So hopefully not too many people use that. Daphne Smith speeding. I don't know who has jurisdiction over Amy Lynn Drive, if that's considered a city street or a county road, but I think that would be something you would, if it becomes an issue, you would need to talk to either the city or the county about. As the state, we wouldn't be going up and putting up speed bumps on a county road that was off of our state highway. We generally steer away from steep speed bumps due to the issues that they cause for our snow plows.
Chris, Amy Lynn's currently a county road.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? We'll give it another minute or two, but as Krish mentioned, if you're exploring the website as we're going and come across other questions that didn't crop up during this meeting, there's the website or the phone number at the bottom of the story map website that you can follow up afterwards. We'll hang around for a few more minutes if anybody else has last minute calls or questions, comments, shoot them our way. Otherwise, thanks so much for jumping on with us and being patient with all this virtual fun stuff. We will post a recording of the meeting here in the next couple of days, just so it's accessible as well as if we get any other comments or questions submitted as we're going through it. With that, it looks like that's about all the comments or questions. Last call. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. And
Yes, we definitely appreciate everybody's time. We know that it probably feels like this has gone on forever, but we really feel like with what we have in the 6-year plan now, we're really making a lot of progress, and we'll be able to start this project soon. And we really appreciate everybody's input this evening.